But his icebreaker, and this is one of my favorite speeches because I really loved bringing personal stories to the front. So I love hearing everybody else's personal story as well. So as the icebreaker, his speech is titled Paths Not Taken. His objective is to begin speaking before an audience, to discover speaking skills you already have and skills that need some attention. And tonight, his goal is to keep his speech from a minimum of 4 to a maximum of 6 minutes. So please welcome him.
Okay, Madam Chair, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests. Today I'll be doing my first speech from the Competent Communicator guidebook, which is an icebreaker speech, which is pretty much about me. So I'm just going to get right into it. As Rachel said, the title is Paths Not Taken. Each and every one of us here have shaped their lives with the decisions they have made or had made for them. These paths have been with us since the first day of our lives on earth. And some might argue that in fact, it's our descendants that put our paths in motion with the paths they chose. Hundreds, even thousands of years ago. But I digress. Today, I'll go over 3 of the most important paths not taken in my life. First, my parents didn't name me Robert Adam Lukasik. In fact, they saved that mundane name in a vault for my brother for about 8 years. I guess they lost their originality with age. So instead, they gave me the name Maciej Dominic Lukasik. Not only is this a unique name, but there is no direct translation into English. After doing some research online, I discovered that babynamespedia.com say that Maciej is not a widely used baby name for boys and is outside the top 1,000. I don't think it surprises anyone here. I also found that my name's origin is Hebrew and means gift from God, which I find kind of fitting. Most other name websites said it was a variant of Matthias, or the more common Matthew. My name has brought with it awkward introductions, incorrect roll calls, and countless pronunciation lessons. I've heard every variation of my name, starting from Marcy to Macy J. One of the more memorable times was when it was a birthday party. It was a shared birthday party, and we had booked reservations for a group of 4. So it was for Garth. Let me open this up here. Garth, April. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. Alyssa and Macleg. So I was Macleg that night. So I kept that memento because it's something I always kind of laugh and chuckle about with friends. So yeah, that was me. Lesson, I guess there's a few people here that are still struggling with that, and it's a commonplace thing. So I always tell people to break it down into 2 syllables. Start with the first one, match. Strike anywhere match, pretty easy to do. And then E at the end. So similar to catchy, matchy. So that's the way I've come up with the explanation for most people. So now that that's done, I see a show of hands of who's met a Maciej before. You don't count. You have. Okay, there you go. Okay, though original, I can assure you I'm not the only one. It's true, there are definitely others, and I've actually met them in person. And I've also heard whispers of others living in the community, believe it or not.
Whispers.
And Poland, the country where I was born, is actually teeming with them. It's one of the more popular names, actually. This leads me to the next path that was avoided in my life. My family, being my mother and father, decided not to live out their lives in Poland. The year was 1981, and Poland was still a communist state. Being that opportunity was slim for employment and raising a family was not easy, they decided to flee and come to Canada, a country of promised opportunity. We left my grandparents behind and other distant relatives and came to Canada. Before that, we had to stay in Austria to wait for documentation to come through and everything to be confirmed. So finally, after all that came to be, we arrived in Vancouver when I was 3 years old. We arrived here with little money, and my mother was the only one in our family that could speak English. I don't remember much from those first years, but I look back now and see the sacrifices that my parents made. and the determination they made to make things better for themselves and their family. Though conditions in Poland have improved dramatically to the point where they're probably one of the more sustainable countries in the EU today, the first 20 years of my life would have still been pretty difficult. I still remember sending care packages to my grandparents. Those would have been filled with food items and everyday household items. At that time, it was very difficult to come by those items, and people would have to wait in line up sometimes for days, weeks on end, just to get those simple bare necessities. What else did I miss out on? Well, perhaps a better and free post-secondary education. That's something that they do there. But I also missed out on 2 years of mandatory military service call. Living in Vancouver was good, but my parents wanted to live in a more rural setting. So several years after, we moved to Coquitlam to live there for the foreseeable future. But alas, I wasn't meant to live out my teen years in Coquitlam. Instead, it was decided that we would move further east to the suburbs of Maple Ridge. 25 kilometers may not seem like a lot, but that change brought a huge life-altering direction. I was starting grade 8 at a new senior secondary, and I knew absolutely nobody. Looking back, this may have been the best path I missed out on. I've heard through the grapevine of past friends and acquaintances, and I've heard a tale of drug abuse and other questionable dealings in past times. The groups of friends that I am surrounded by now are simply irreplaceable. These friends I've met and got to know through high school and beyond, and though perhaps I don't have hundreds of them, the ones that I hold dear are dependable, loving, and steadfast. One of them also happens to be my fiance, but I think I'll leave that to another speech altogether. What paths lay ahead for us in this room? Well, it's difficult to say, but I know for myself, I've started to travel down those paths already. I'm getting married in August this year to Sarah, and hopefully in time starting a family and traveling down all the paths that come with that endeavor and all the rest that come with life. Thank you.